Hey, why is the house listed for sale? My husband asked angrily over the phone. Oh, because I decided to sell it, I replied calmly. What the hell are you doing? This house belongs to me, doesn't it? He yelled. This is the house my father invested in for us. So it's registered in my name. As the owner, I have every right to sell it, don't I? I concluded. This is ridiculous, he snapped. You kept this quiet on purpose, didn't you? No, but since you got $1.45 million, why not go live happily with your new girlfriend? I asked. Ugh, well, since you already know, I don't mind giving you some of the money, he sneered into the phone. But my husband still didn't know this wasn't the worst surprise waiting for him. My name is Eleanor, a 55-year-old housewife. I've been married to my husband Jaden for 27 years. My daughter Lily is 26 years old and just married last year. She has a really strong bond with her husband Beau, and she always talks about her love life whenever she comes over. It makes me smile when I see my daughter talking happily, and I'm relieved that her marriage is going well. I'm glad you look happy, Lily, I said with a smile. Mom, are you okay? Isn't it hard to look after Grandpa? Lily asked with concern. Oh, I've been doing it for years now, and I'm used to it, I assured her. Besides, he is going to be hospitalized soon, so I won't have to do that anymore. Is he? It's unfortunate that he is getting worse, Lily replied thoughtfully. But I'm a little relieved that your burden will be eased. I shouldn't say things like this, though. Thank you for worrying about me, Lily, I said warmly. If you ever need assistance, I'm always here for you. Beau is happy with it, Lily said with a laugh. Well, that's great to hear, I said. But I'm still well enough. I won't need assistance for another 30 years. That's true, my daughter agreed. Thank you, though. That's very kind of you. Enjoy your new married life with Beau, I continued. Okay, thanks, Mom, Lily said with a smile. I am very grateful that my daughter shows up regularly like this. To be honest, I'm struggling to provide care for him every day, and it's tough. We started living with my husband's parents about 5 years ago. Actually, they wanted to live together much earlier, but I said it was impossible until my daughter graduated from uni and started living on her own. So I asked them to wait. My husband complained about it, but for me, my daughter was more important, and I wanted her to be able to concentrate on her studies without any worries. I wouldn't say that my in-laws are a nuisance, but suddenly having 2 more people to live with would be confusing for a child. Well, the truth is, I wasn't ready for it yet myself. In fact, a year after we started living together, my mother-in-law got a leg and back problem. Then she ended up needing care. My life as a carer began. Up until then, I had been working part-time to cover my daughter's tuition and our retirement. But I had to stop and became a full-time housewife, caring for my in-laws all day. Fortunately, my in-laws weren't the kind of people who bullied their daughter-in-law, so I wasn't told or done anything terrible by them. But it was still tough, and I was exhausted both mentally and physically every day. Besides, my father-in-law also became ill and needed care, followed by my mother-in-law. And the hardest part was that my husband left everything to me. You're a full-time housewife, Jaden said dismissively. It's your job to take care of them. Do it well. Don't cause trouble for my parents. Saying that, he left all the care to me. Of course, he didn't do any housework for me. He wants to say that he earns money working for a company, and that is enough for him. Ideally, my husband, who is their biological child, should be taking care of his own parents. However, even if I said that, my husband would not listen to me. If I told him that, it would obviously lead to a fight. So I put up with it and continued to give them care. Although life as a carer was tough, I got used to it. After a year or two, things became a little less overwhelmingly difficult. Then, 2 years after I started living with them, my mother-in-law passed away due to illness. After that, I only had to care for my father-in-law, which lightened my burden a bit. Now, I'm just going through the motions, staying married and continuing to care for him. That's about it. It will end soon because my father-in-law is going to be hospitalized. Just because the caregiving is over doesn't mean I'll get any rewards, or that my income will increase either. All I feel now is a sense of finally letting myself go and a small sense of accomplishment. However, I've been worried lately because my husband's behavior has become increasingly overbearing. Up until now, he left me to handle all the housework and care for the family, and he's always been bossy. But he had never said such cruel things that attacked my very identity. One day, Jaden sneered, "You really have an unfortunate face. Just being around you seems to bring my luck down. Get out of my sight when I eat." This is how my husband treats me. He makes me cook dinner, and then, when it's time to serve it, he tells me to leave the living room. Although he has behaved badly in the past, still it was never this unreasonable. Recently, he's been very busy with work, putting in overtime constantly and coming home late at night. He also spends his weekends bar hopping, so he's rarely home. However, on Mondays and Tuesdays, for the first half of the week, he often finishes work on time and comes home straight after. It's at those times that my husband gets arrogant with me and stresses me out. "Hey, why haven't the programs been recorded?" Jaden shouted. "Oh, I was recording the drama I watch and—" I began. "Don't mess around," he cut me off. "There's a program I want to watch at this time on this day. Cancel your recording." What?" I asked hesitantly. "Do you have a problem? Who do you think is paying for this TV stand and the electricity to watch TV?" my husband asked angrily. "Okay, I'll cancel my recording," I replied quietly. "Come on, quick, you idiot," he snapped. "You're always so retarded like that. You're an old bat and can barely do housework. You're such cocky shit. It's just awful. Why do I have to be told such things? I took care of my in-laws, cooked meals every day, and even made my husband's lunch. But there is no gratitude for that, and I am mentally overwhelmed by being told such abusive words face to face. I didn't think I could take it any longer if it became terrible like this. I feel stifled just having my husband in the house with me. That's why I don't want to stay at home on weekends, and I've been trying to visit my father-in-law since he was hospitalized." "Hey, Eleanor," he greeted me. "Dad, are you all right?" I asked him. "Thank you so much for everything, and I'm sorry," my father-in-law replied. What happened?" "It's so out of the blue," I said, feeling confused. "I realize that I haven't been grateful enough until now. You have been working hard to take care of my wife and me. Jaden left everything to you and thought of us as a nuisance. I wonder what would have happened to us if you weren't there. I'm really grateful," he added sincerely. "Dad," I wanted to reply, but he continued, "I'm sure you must be having a very hard time right now. Hasn't he been acting differently towards you?" he asked. How did you know that?" I said, surprised. "Well, I heard the conversation every now and then in the living room, even when I was in my room, and I can sort of guess when I saw your tired face," my father-in-law explained. "Did I look that tired?" I asked, ashamed. "I'm really sorry for causing you trouble," he said. No, Dad. You haven't done anything wrong," I assured him. "That's not true. Actually," he began, and then my father-in-law revealed a shocking truth. Suddenly, it all made sense. My husband's strange behavior, his coldness, his cruelty. Maybe he wanted to break up with me, and his awful actions were a way to push me into asking for a divorce first. But no, I wasn't going to let him get his way that easily. I made up my mind to stand my ground and fight back. From that moment on, I started preparing myself for what was to come. In the meantime, months later, my father-in-law became increasingly ill, and he breathed his last. Because I went to visit him every day, I was able to be present at his end. Even then, he told me how grateful he was to me, which made all my hard work worthwhile. My father-in-law's funeral took place afterwards. My husband left all the arrangements and preparations for the funeral to me, but he served as the chief mourner, and even shed tears in front of relatives to gain sympathy. I felt like I was drifting quickly away from him when I watched him like that. My husband had only taken advantage of me, and had only taken the good parts. I don't think I should be praised or anything, but I felt like he was taking all the credit, and it was very unpleasant. My daughter had also seen how I did all the care and housework, and he left it all to me, so she gave him a frosty look. Later, my father-in-law's funeral went well, and I was at home with my daughter and her husband. But my husband said he was going out for a while, got dressed, and went out somewhere. My daughter was disgusted with him. "What the? It's strange to go out after his own father's funeral. Where on earth does he have to go?" my daughter asked, pouting. "He's probably going to see the other woman," I said. My daughter and her husband looked shocked. "What the heck? The other woman? Is Dad having an affair? She asked, her eyes wide open. I showed her the evidence I'd collected from the detective agency. Wow, that's disgusting. Why is he having an affair? Lily asked, appalled. He seems to have misunderstood that he will receive a large amount of money. So he went to a nightclub and tried to hit on that girl, apparently, I explained. Thought he was going to get a lot of money, she repeated. Your grandpa talked about the inheritance money to him. He apparently didn't mention the debt, but only the money he would get, I said. Dad is really stupid, isn't he? My daughter sighed. Yes, he is. Of course, I'm not going to take on debt with him. I'm going to leave him before then, I declared. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'll cut ties with him too. I hope you can get divorced soon, Mom. If there's anything we can do, we'll help you with anything, she promised. Thank you, Lily, I said, encouraged by her support. A little while later, I was much more settled with sorting out my father-in-law's belongings and other funeral-related matters. Then, out of the blue, my husband told me he had something to say. What? What is it about? I asked, puzzled. I'm finally free from you now, he declared. What do you mean? I asked, confused. I'm divorcing you. I'm going to receive $1,450,000 of inheritance money, so I don't need you anymore, he said triumphantly. Inheritance money? I muttered in surprise. He grinned and had a triumphant look on his face. You know, you were a really useless wife. As you got older, I couldn't see you as a woman. I'm leaving you and I'm going to have a free life, Jaden sneered. How much had I done for my husband? He didn't thank me for that and simply tried to leave me. I knew it would happen, but when he said it like this, it made my blood boil. Okay, here are the divorce papers, I said, taking the papers from the drawer and presenting them to him. What the heck? You had them ready? How come? My husband stammered. Because you've been speaking to me so harshly lately. If you keep pushing me to my limit like this, I will seriously consider divorce, I replied firmly. Well, that's just fine, he said dismissively. He didn't bother to apologize when I told him I was hurt and took the divorce papers, starting to fill them in. Here you go. We are completely not related people. Register this quickly. Pack up your stuff and leave. I'll be living in a hotel until you leave because there's $1,450,000 coming in, he said, laughing loudly. He packed some clothes for a few days in his carry-on suitcase and left. He says he's living in a hotel, but I think he's going to the other woman's. It seemed like he was trying to proceed with the divorce, as if he wasn't having an affair. I registered the divorce papers to the city council immediately. After the divorce was finalized, I sold the house and quickly moved out. He still doesn't know about the secret hidden in my father-in-law's inheritance. When I informed my ex-husband that I had completely moved out, he laughed and said, "It took you so long, but it's okay because I can start a new life now." But a few days later, my husband called me. "Hey, why is the house for sale?" he asked angrily. "Oh, because I decided to sell it," I replied. "What the heck are you doing? That house belongs to me, doesn't it?" he shouted. "What are you talking about?" I said calmly. "That is a house that my father contributed to for us around 20 years ago, so it is under my name. As the owner of the house, it's my personal choice to sell it, right?" I remarked. What? Jaden stammered, clearly shocked. He apparently had forgotten that fact. "That's bullshit," he snapped. "You kept quiet about it on purpose, didn't you?" "I didn't," I replied. "You just didn't ask me anything. I didn't think you would forget such an important thing. But since you received $1,450,000, why don't you live happily with your new girlfriend?" "What?" he exclaimed, stunned. "Oh, did you ever think I didn't know about it?" I continued. "I've already investigated the fact that you had an affair with a hostess and are trying to get married again. I have all the evidence I need, and I'll have you pay me compensation money through my lawyer," I concluded. "Ugh," he muttered. "Well, it doesn't matter if you knew or not. I don't care at all if I give you a small amount of money." He scoffed with a cold smirk. "Okay, that's good. Then the lawyer will contact you," I said, and hung up the phone. A little while later, my lawyer informed me that everything had been settled. Apparently, my ex-husband had been griping about the payment of compensation money. This was because he had already learned all about the gimmick of his father's will when communicating with the lawyer. My father-in-law did have assets of about $1,450,000, But he had more debts than that, so what was left to my ex-husband was a debt of about $85,000. And with the around $20,000 in compensation for me added to that, his debt is around $105,000. Far from becoming a millionaire, he ended up having a lot of debt. He couldn't afford to pay compensation in this situation, and he even got down on his knees and apologized to the lawyer. However, I told my lawyer, I won't stop demanding compensation no matter what. He can deal with it, even if it means garnishing his salary. So the lawyer didn't change the demand and told him, you can take the case to court. In the end, he agreed to pay. By the way, when the girl he had an affair with found out that my ex-husband wasn't going to receive a large amount of money, she paid only the compensation and disappeared. He also tried to get help from his daughter and her husband, but she had already deleted his contact number and moved out, so he ended up not being able to count on her either. Currently, he is living in a shabby flat, just going back and forth between work and home, living a poor life and paying off his debts. Apparently, he got what he deserved. On the other hand, I initially stayed with my daughter and her husband, then bought an apartment with the money that the house was sold for. It is near the room where my daughter and her husband live, so I often go out for dinner and have tea with them. Also, since I'm still of working age, I started working at a supermarket close to my house. I've decided to start living my life to the fullest. First, I'm going to focus on earning money, and then I'll travel as much as my body allows.